So after offending the untouchable community a while back, Candace Owens has been on this black press run with like the Joe Budden podcast and the Breakfast Club and others, just trying to cozy back up to black folks. Well, we really know she don't rock with us like that, right? So after getting fired by them good old white folks that she always shucking and jiving for, D.L. Hughley and a lot of us want to remind Candace that you ain't about to just come cozy back up to us like what you thought this was. But let's go to Comedy Hype for the story.
So Candace Owens, who said the police officer didn't kill George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery was a hoax, Breonna Taylor was a drug dealer who caused her own death, and they only lynched about 3,500, that wasn't really a lot based on the population, is now okay because she knew the lyrics to the Fresh Prince. Now, Hughley would follow that post up with a headline from the Shade Room that reported Owens firing from the Daily Wire for allegedly promoting anti-Semitism. About the same story, Hughley would say, well, so what y'all got going on this Sunday? You'll find out just how black you are, one way or another. Almost alluding to Paul Mooney's famous words. Candace Owens got her N-word wake-up call. But he wouldn't stop there. In a completely separate post, he would share several clips of Candace Owens' most controversial opinions over the last few years. Those comments included claiming that Juneteenth is ghetto and made up, discrediting the deaths of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, and so much more. So let's take a look at what some people may have forgotten Candace Owens has said in the past.
If we're actively helping our boyfriends move drugs, which is what Breonna Taylor was actually doing, trailing her, that her name was on the warrant when they showed up at her place. Everything the media told you was a lie. The police officers had every right to be at her property. They had been monitoring that property for weeks. They were moving drugs, and Jamarcus Glover was the person who was at the center of it. You were told that the police officer shot her while she was asleep. No, she was standing in a hallway. It was not an accident, okay? She was knee deep in drugs. They fired first. They shot a police officer, and I shouldn't say
the redheads get something, right? You know, they're the true minority that nobody talks about. Ariel, who had beautiful, long red hair. It was actually one of my favorite movies. I was a big Disney child. Nothing can be left as it is, and they are now producing a mermaid movie in which Ariel is black. It's not common for black people to have red hair. It is, in fact, a Nordic trait, but they're going to make her black because everything must be black.
I want to come out and say that I do not support George Floyd and the media depiction of him as a martyr for Black America. I have spent a considerable amount of time reading a lot of Black authors, Walter Williams, Shelby Steele, Thomas Sowell. I recently came across something that was an idea that was planted into my head by Shelby Steele. It is something that will stick with me for the rest of my life. And it is something that I hope for the Black Americans that are watching will stick with you for the rest of your life. The Black community is unique from other communities. Our culture is unique from other communities. We are the only community that caters to the bottom denominator of our society.
If I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. That's not who I am. That's not what I believe.
It is the reality the left has created.
So you can see why the left loved that clip and why they're now calling Charlie Kirk, who I worked for and with for years, an avowed racist. He says that that's going to be his first thought if he sees a black pilot. You know what? I said the exact same thing on this show. I remarked that now when I even am watching a commercial and I see a black person, an Hispanic person, an Asian person, my thought process is, did they just get this because DEI?
The actually worst thing to be in this society, if one thing I would not want to be, is a straight white male. For some reason, that's considered problematic. They're lying on college applications. They're like, okay, I'm white, but I'm also trans. And you're like, what? Because, I don't want people to think I'm too normal, right? And people, they're just trying to find something that makes them not white. It's really staggering to think that is exactly what the experience was for a Black American, that being a Black American was so problematic. Now you have the exact same thing happening reverse, and you have liberals trying to convince you that that's equality. All lives matter, and that's including white lives matter.
Now, unfortunately, the comments under Hughley's mini post were just as divisive, with some even branding Owens as a truth teller and others still not buying in on anything she has to say. One user on social media would echo the talking points of many by writing, "It's unbelievable how many people can easily forgive her for all the heinous things she said against Black people." only to try to come back over to us when she gets into some ish. And here we are saying, well, she made good points. Liars, racists, serial killers, etc. can all say truthful things and still be horrible people. I think she's smart and strategic, and I still don't get down with her. I can respect good points and still be like, nope. She has spit in our faces, and because she makes good points in an interview, I can't now just say, come on, girl, welcome home. It's a no for me.
Yeah, so I'm gonna agree with this last comment. Like, I'm good on you, Candace. Like, it's been too many instances where I see you literally shucking and jiving for these white folks. They use you as a pawn to say all the things that they want to say, and then they fire you. You understand? Because it's only certain communities you can talk against, and that's this one, this brown skin one. But when it comes to speaking against their community or the unspeakable, the untouchable community, as we say, they let you know where your limits are. And listen, it's ironic when you consider that part of her start of getting into her career, she had the NAACP. She used the NAACP to help her sue her high school for racism for about $37,000, right? For racism. And I guess she started her career, don't quote me on this, but she started off after that kind of doing political things in favor of black folk. But when she realized it wasn't gaining her no political points with her white counterparts, then she switched it up and stepped and fetched it on over to their side. And now all of a sudden racism doesn't exist. She doesn't recall racism. And now she's being a puppet and being used to say all of these things that a lot of racist white folks behind the scenes want to say. You dig what I'm saying? And it's sad to see her be used like this. Like, you're a cornball. You're a cornball. And I give you credit. When you say something that makes sense, I will give you credit for that. I mean, I tend to agree with some of her statements about the LGBTQ plus community. But when you say ignorant things and turn a blind eye to all of these situations where you see black folk falling in the street, and you're so, casual and nonchalant and sarcastic in the way that you discuss these matters, in a joking and laughing tone and condescending, it really boils my blood to watch you speak this way against your own people. But like I say, a lot of black folk have been blinded with the white is right syndrome, and we can see you definitely feel that way. And listen, I got love for white folk. It ain't no hatred coming from this way. But I'm gonna tell the truth. You're not gonna use my voice to disparage my own people and act like we don't see the sneaky, evil, vindictive things that some of y'all do behind the scenes. And I want you to pay attention to my words, because I say some of you. And I believe in God. I got love for all of y'all. You understand what I'm saying? I got love for all of y'all, all of us. But we're going to be real in stating the facts that we rarely get the love that we give y'all. This country wasn't built with us in mind, and we're not going to sit here and fake like it was. You can look at the LSU game with Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese and see the ugly little tones of racism that came out of that game. Now when they, LSU loses, now they ghetto punks and all this type of stuff, and they thugs because they wasn't out there for the national anthem. National anthem wasn't written with us in mind, no way. You understand what I'm saying? And it just disappoints us that Candace Owens has allowed herself over the years to be a puppet to y'all. And then now that she has been used and abused, like some of y'all white folks do, y'all let her use and abuse a black voice and use them to say all the ignorant, vindictive things. about ourselves, but then you discard them afterwards. And listen, I have no problem with calling out things. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong. A lot of what black culture pushes to the forefront is ignorance. And I call that out as well because I want us to be better as a community. But I still love us, and I'm not going to act like white folks didn't engineer things to be this way. Y'all have been social engineering the country and black folks' minds since slavery. Like, it's just certain things we're not going to ignore. Now, will I say we need to break out of some of these things as black folk? Of course. But we're not going to sit there and act like it ain't a bunch of you white folks that don't mean us well behind the scenes, pulling certain strings to make sure that we don't have a fair chance, and to make sure that we fail, and to make sure that we are deleted as much as possible. Our own government set this whole thing up for us to be fighting each other for resources and killing one another off. And you have to see the difference between how in the black community it's 100 liquor stores and weed stores. It's different when you go to white folks' community. You know, things are engineered a certain way to help us implode. But black folk, we got to stop imploding on our own. But back to good old Candace, you can go ahead and scurry back off to where you was coming from. If they don't want you, then I don't know what to tell you. But in the words of Dave Chappelle, the black delegation, we traded you a long time ago. So they drafted you, y'all. You can stay on that side of the fence and keep being puppeteered as much as we care. But this your boy P Camp. Let me know what you think, what you don't think. Get at your boy.